cynicism is gone.
Hello everyone, Joshua Myers here.
And Josh too.
And today we're going to be reviewing the latest entry into the Paranormal Activity franchise, and that is Paranormal Activity Next of Kin from 2021.
We are grateful to have our sister Margot return to us.
Run!
Something is here.
Paranormal Activity, Next of Kin, rated R, streaming October 29th, exclusively on Paramount+.
Paranormal Activity stars Emily Botter, Roland Buck III, Dan Lippert, and is directed by William Eubank. The plot of Paranormal Activity Next of Kin is that strange events plague a documentary filmmaker and her crew when they visit a 200-year-old farm in an Amish in an Amish country to trace her family lineage. Now, before we get onto this, I would like to say it has been a while.
Yes.
I think, like you said, the last time we did a review together, it's been like, what, a month?
About close to a month, yeah.
Yeah, and man, and I would also like to say too, I tried to get all my reviews in for my 31 Days of Halloween review series, and that just didn't happen. I got most of it. I got, I think, like something like 21 reviews in.
Which is more than last year.
Yeah,
right?
which is more than what happened last year. So
8 more.
yeah,
Oh, that's pretty good.
yeah, and I only needed to do like what 10 after.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a lot that I had planned, and maybe you'll see that as might not be a part of my next year's 31 Days of Halloween review series, but over the course of the year,
Next couple months.
or I don't know, because I do have planned to do
Christmas.
Thanksgiving,
Oh, okay.
which I'm going to call that my 7 days to be thankful for, or something like that. I'm reviewing like Thanksgiving themed movies. Doesn't have to take place on Thanksgiving or
Just Thanksgiving themed.
And then also too, I got my 12 Days of Christmas review series coming up, and that will be, you know, again, just anything Christmas related for the most part.
I know one that'll be in there.
What, Gremlins? Yeah. We'll probably try to watch Gremlins and do a review of it. That would be my first time watch, so.
My 10th or 11th time watch.
So, yeah, and also too, before we get even further into this review, because this is the first review we're filming of this franchise, this franchise is going to be kind of out of order, so we'll review this, upload this since this is the newest entry, and then we'll review all the other Paranormal Activity movies.
What might be cool is to work our way backwards on them.
Oh, yeah. Not really. That might be totally confusing, considering there's a story with each of them.
Oh, yeah, I guess leading up to...
Yeah.
Well,
It'd be like trying to watch the Saw movies backwards.
you can do it.
So,
Not really, huh?
not really.
Yeah.
So,
Especially like Jigsaw. Could you imagine trying to figure the Jigsaw the hell out?
yeah. I mean, you could watch Jigsaw fine with only seeing like the first 3 movies.
Right, but you have to have some context.
Some context. So, the only film in the series I could see is the original Saw, if you just watch that on its own,
Yeah.
and Spiral. Anyway, without getting into spoilers on our thoughts on the franchise, what is your history with the Paranormal Activity franchise?
How many have I seen?
Yeah,
I think just the first 2, right?
yeah, I think he's kind of a virgin when it comes to this franchise. I don't want to give our thoughts away on Paranormal Activities 1 and 2.
Yeah, because we want to do a review on them.
Yeah, on both of them. So, to give you my perspective on the franchise without spoiling my thoughts on it, now, I'm not new to this franchise. I've watched most of every single film of this franchise except for 1. And the reason why for that is, well, I just started to lose interest in this franchise after a while. I think I started to lose the interest, like,
For found footage.
well, just for Paranormal Activity movies. I started to lose a bit of interest for that for, like, maybe starting with the third one. I mean, the third one's, like I started to lose a tiny bit of interest, but I was still like, okay, I want to watch these still. Then Paranormal Activity 4 came out, started to lose a bit more interest. Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, I was like, starting to lose even more interest. And then by the time the trailer popped up for Paranormal Activity Ghost Dimension,
Filled
do, here I am, you'll do.
And I was like, fuck it, I'm out, you know?
Yeah.
I didn't even, like, hell, like, Paranormal Activity 4 was the first horror movie I ever went to saw in the theater, and then I went to see the Mark ones in the theater, and I didn't even bother to see the Ghost Dimension in the theater. I still have yet to see that movie. And I've got the entire Blu-ray set of the franchise. Just to kind of give you a bit of idea of, you know, my relationship with the franchise without really giving into too much of my thoughts and everything on each film. Because again, we plan on doing reviews for the entire franchise. And then eventually ranking the franchise from worst to best. So, including this new one. Going into this new one, I wasn't so sure about it. You know, we saw the trailer. Well, first of all, I knew the fact they were planning on making a new Paranormal Activity movie for a while. I'm like, really? You know, because the last one, The Ghost Dimension, was apparently meant to be the final Paranormal Activity movie.
What if someone conspired for us to be in this house?
This is no coincidence, and I believe she's part of a prophecy.
Here's the thing, guys. Whenever they say a film, like a long-running franchise, like, and they do, like, they claim they're going to do one last hurrah, don't buy it. Don't buy it.
Especially if it says 3D.
Yes, yeah, and that's another thing I'll, you know, like, that kind of. So, yeah, for me, it's like, because again, like, look at the Saw franchise. I mean, Saw 3D, that was meant to be the final chapter.
Witness. No! The final Saw.
Then we got Jigsaw and Spiral, so. And they plan on making more still. So, that was a bold-faced lie. Also remember too, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. Wasn't really the final nightmare. It was like, because then we got Wes Craven's new Nightmare, Freddy vs. Jason, and the remake after.
Right.
Also too, the Friday 13 franchise did that twice.
Yeah.
They did, the first time they did that with was Friday 13 Part 4, the final chapter. And then we ended up getting, let's see, 5 more movies after that before they did that it was going to be the last movie again with Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. And then after that we got we got Jason X, Freddy vs. Jason, and the Friday 13th remake. And I'm willing to bet that's going to be the case with, well, actually that did end up being the case. I mean, look at Resident Evil.
Yeah.
They said Resident Evil, the final chapter would have been the last Resident Evil movie. Now we got this remake that's about to come out. Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. You know? It's like,
Pretty much any movie that's making money, you can guarantee the final chapter is not the final chapter.
yeah, again, Harry Potter. They said the Deathly Hallows Parts 1 and 2 were going to be the final Harry Potter movie.
Right, and they sure weren't.
Yeah, now we have this Fantastic Beasts series, which apparently J.K. Rowling says it's going to be like a 5-film series. So here's the thing, if there's a long-running franchise, and if it makes the studio a hell of a lot of money, if they say it's going to be the final chapter, don't buy into it. That's just a gimmick. It's just a gimmick to basically be like, oh, come, like, just, you have to go see the last one. You have to see the last one.
Yeah.
Also, to add to that, the Ghost Dimension was in 3D. And that seems like yet another gimmick, you know, just to add ticket prices.
Yeah, for sure.
And also, too, the fact that it's like, you get to witness the activity, you get to see these entities, and that also felt like another gimmick.
Right.
To be like.
Right.
But enough talking about that. We'll probably rant about it when we end up watching the movie.
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's get on to our thoughts on Paranormal Activity next to Ken.
Jesus wird kommen, Jesus wird kommen.
It was kind of a fresh start.
Oh yeah, like, the one thing is about this movie, like, the one thing I wasn't so sure on is if this is going to have any ties to the other, like, 6 or so movies of this franchise.
Right.
Like, I didn't know, was this going to be a sequel, was it going to be a soft reboot, or was it going to be a complete and utter reboot of the franchise?
Right.
And I could safely say that this is, in fact, a complete rehaul, complete reboot of the franchise.
Yeah.
So, it has no ties to the other Paranormal Activity movies. You could go into this without having seen any of the other ones. The way they kind of rebooted it, I thought was kind of interesting. Basically, they make it almost like a mockumentary. Basically, having this girl who, like this filmmaker who is trying to who end up getting in contact with one of her, because she's adopted, so she never met any of her biological relatives. Yeah, who turns out to be a part of the Amish community. They go to their little community and their farm and everything, and then some weird stuff starts going up with the family and everything, and it's just basically her and the audience trying to figure out what's going on. And I kind of I actually did like the story for the most part. It was I will say it's definitely not the way I would have thought about handling a reboot of the Paranormal Activity franchise, which I do got an idea, which I mentioned to you, and you said that was pretty good.
Yeah, but this one also didn't turn out to be terrible either.
No, like honestly, and this was I know this is written by the same guy who did who either wrote or directed one of the Paranormal Activity movies, Paranormal Activity, the Mark ones.
Yeah.
Christopher Landon, who also either wrote or directed the film Freaky and Happy Death Day.
Yeah.
So,
were you surprised by this movie?
Oh yeah. So I kind of was actually, because I just wasn't really expecting much of anything.
Yeah. Well, and I was. So what got me the most is I wasn't expecting them to do it the way they did it. You know what I mean? So.
Like, to me, like, that, how they handle it being, like, almost a mockumentary, and that, like, it almost feels like one that, like, you could see this on one of those, like, TV
For
channels.
sure.
Like, what kind of show did you say?
Something like on Discovery Plus, I could see it being on, you know?
You know, like, in what type of show?
It started off as, like, it could have been, like, a whole show based on finding your long-lost family, you know?
Yeah. Like, something, again, like you would see on the Discovery Channel or Discovery Plus.
Right.
So,
it
didn't
could be,
really
it could
feel
be
like a
labeled
Paranormal
like
Activity movie
right,
for a while.
Right. The first half of it could be like, you know, labeled "Finding My Lost Lineage" or something. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Or, you know, Return to Amish or something.
Oh yeah.
So, like, something like that. It definitely felt like that. And I kind of thought that was kind of interesting. An interesting, different direction to take this franchise.
For sure.
Now, also too, what else did we?
I thought the acting was way smoother.
Oh yeah, the acting was pretty good. I felt like everybody did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
There was not one actor I felt like did a awful job.
No.
So.
Suspense was.
Yeah, this
incredible.
Suspense was pretty good. Yeah. Like, there's actually some moments, without getting into spoilers, there's a lot of moments, for like, a few moments especially, that I will admit, there were times I was, like, trying to look away and stuff like that. It was like
he was trying to look, but he was also, like, looking away.
Yeah, it was like one of those things where it's like, I wanted to look, but I also didn't want to.
Yeah.
And it's, like, and a lot of it, like...
It wasn't even that bad once you got there. It was just, they held the suspense so high up to that
And this is
minute,
the kind of stuff I've been talking about.
Right. You literally don't see anything. You know, to put it into perspective, it would be like Stephen King always trying to make corn scary. He would have actually succeeded in making corn scary if he had done that, you know?
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know.
I think he could have, dude. And that's like a long shot. But if he had done shots like these people did, I think that he could have almost succeeded with it, you know?
Yeah, and here's the thing. It's not filmed in the, you know, traditional found footage sense.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like, almost like, not even necessarily a documentary a lot of times. It feels more like, almost like kind of like the behind the scenes of documentary.
Yeah.
You know?
Like true stuff.
Yeah, like, you know. Like, there's times where it's intercut with actual, like, type of documentary style stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and then most of it is just, like, you know, almost like showing the making of said documentary, almost. So.
Which is pretty stinking cool.
Yeah, and what else can we talk about?
Without giving spoilers, man, that's where we're going to run into issues. There's a lot of positives I'd like to talk about. But,
and we could talk about them after we do our rating.
Okay.
So, like, after... So, we are going to discuss spoilers in this review. So
Was there music in this movie? There was
No, I
no
don't
music.
think
Yeah,
so.
I was like, hold on. I always think
although
about
most found
music.
footage films don't have music,
Right,
because
right.
it keeps it more
Yep,
grounded. You know.
yep.
I mean, like if you were like using camera around and all that stuff, you were just like, you know, like you wouldn't. And if the footage was found, you wouldn't. There wouldn't be music attached to it in most cases. So that's kind of the traditional found footage type stuff.
Right. Unless it was you that was documenting it before you died, then there'd probably be
Yeah.
some John Carpenter in there.
Yeah, probably. Oh, the pacing was pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it wasn't.
was-
It's not a very long movie. I think it clocks in at like something like that.
Hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah, it clocks in at an hour and 38 minutes, and it flies by pretty fast.
Yeah.
So, like, although maybe a bit too fast in my opinion, which I'll get into in my more kind of mixed areas.
Okay, I don't know that I have mixed areas.
So, yeah, I mean, for the most part, there's just a lot of good stuff to talk about with this new entry. Like, it did surprise me.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, it surprised me with how. What else can we talk about that we liked? Or is that it?
It's really hard, man, not to give spoilers away. We better stop there because I'm gonna end up slipping.
Yeah, we're going to discuss spoilers at the like after we're done with like our rating, and then, like after we give our rating.
Yep.
So hang in there, okay? So
Chomping at the bit, man.
is that it for positives?
I think so for right now.
Jesus wird kommen, Jesus wird kommen.
Okay, so one of the things I'm rather mixed on is the pacing. Now, I do think the pacing, while fast, I think it might be a bit too fast.
Yeah.
You know? Because were certain points within the movie I was like, wait, we're already here already?
Yeah.
You know, we're already at this point in the film? I don't know, I kind of wonder if they drawn it out a little bit more.
If it would have helped.
If it would have helped,
Right.
you know? I mean, could you see that?
Yeah.
Like, where are some points in the film where you're like,
How are we here already?
Like, how are we here already?
Yeah.
But honestly, that's the only thing I'm rather mixed on, because I do think it is paced pretty fast. So for all you people who have low attention spans,
Yeah.
this might be a good one for you guys to check out.
Right.
But for me, I think it might have been a bit too fast a pace. I would have liked it if they kind of slowed it down a little bit.
What, another 30 minutes?
Yeah, maybe another 30 minutes, maybe another hour tops.
That would have been a long movie, man.
Okay.
But I mean, it was a good enough movie that I think that would have been okay, you know?
Is there anything you're kind of mixed on? Like,
I don't have really any in between, no.
okay. So I guess we'll move on to our negatives.
Jesus wird kommen, Jesus wird kommen.
My negative was being able to see the demon embodied in a person, I think. I really liked that story twist, but it almost took away once you could see it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think if they were going to do that, they should have switched back and forth between people more than they did.
Yeah. I totally agree. That was one of my issues I had.
Yeah. And I think it would have been cool to see the demon take over some animals and stuff too, because that would have just been. Think about like when they were crawling through all the cows and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, if the demon had leapt out of that woman's body into a cow, how much more that would have been like, holy shit, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, the other Paranormal Activity films showed like, you know, characters being possessed by these demons and
Right.
stuff like that, but
And the way that this one did, you know?
it was kind of a bit silly.
Yeah, well, and it gave you something you could fight. You know what I mean? And the other films, the terrifying part about it was you couldn't fight it. You know,
Yeah.
there was no way to fight it.
So with that said, I'm going to get Paranormal Activity next of kin. Okay, this is kind of a tough one. I'm thinking either...
I'm like 4.5, man.
I'm thinking either 4 or 3.5.
Wow.
Yeah, I kind of had some time to process the movie.
Okay.
So, I think I'm going to go with a 4 out of 5 stars. I did have fun with you on the movie. I do think there's a lot of good things about the movie.
But it
There's
wasn't quite.
It wasn't quite there. I mean, it is one of the better Paranormal Activities that I've seen anyway, as of lately. Now, what is your rating?
4.5. I think it was a little bit better than 4, but just it wouldn't even be quite 4.5. It'd be, if you could do like 4.25, it'd be like 4.25, you know. But
yeah, you definitely did have issues with it.
I did, but I think it's just a tad bit better than like a 4, you know.
Yeah, for me, I feel like there's some things again that kind of lowered my rating a bit.
Yeah.
You know, especially like, you know, just stuff like the ending and stuff like that. I felt like it could have been done better.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to that pretty soon. So for any of you who do not want to be spoiled by this movie whatsoever, please check out if you're right now, because we're going into spoiler territory. Although before you do, make sure you click the subscribe button if you're new here. And not only if you're new here, but you're a returning subscriber, be sure to give this video a like. It will really help out the channel. Also, too, tell us in the comments what you thought of Paranormal Activity Next to Kin without giving any spoilers for at all. Did you love the movie? Did you hate it? Were you somewhere in between? Did you thought it was a great way to kind of revitalize the franchise, or did you felt like the franchise should have just been done with the Ghost Dimension? We both would kind of like to hear your thoughts on it. So, like I said, one of the things I had an issue with was the ending of the film, which I guess you could probably explain to the audience what the ending was like.
Okay, so basically the demon ended up switching bodies and went into the young man of the family. And right before that, you know, before we got to that part, remember the young man was like, our sisters are the only ones strong enough to hold the demon back. That's why they must carry this burden. Don't come out till the bells ring, right? So, first of all, you kind of could see that coming. You know what I mean? You knew something bad was going to happen to him. But then the demon switches bodies and is crying, you know, like a baby to get the cops' attention, which was weird, but okay.
And on that too, I just found it weird that this demon that's possessing this body, like this entity, needed to drive.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to.
It had to drive a cop car.
Yeah.
It drove a cop car because it ends up killing some of the cops,
right,
making them kill themselves.
And I've never necessarily seen a movie where a demon had telekinesis.
Yeah, I know that too.
Like, that was some Star Wars shit for a second.
Yeah, I know that too. Like, again, it was pretty ridiculous just seeing this entity, supposedly powerful entity, having to drive.
Yeah.
I feel like with an entity like that, even if it possesses a human form,
they'd still have more power than that, right?
Wouldn't need to drive, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of like how people find it weird that Michael Myers drives in the original.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
So. And, there was one thing, because I was like, you had an idea of what was going to happen, and I was like, no, that'd be too ridiculous even for this movie.
Yeah.
And it ended up fucking happening, which was like,
Sarah was still alive and was the demon.
Yeah, like the main character's mother
was the vessel for the demon.
Yeah, and I'm like, that. Like, I was like, that would have been too stupid even for this movie.
Right. And that part kind of bothered me too, that the demon stopped and was listening to our main character.
Yeah.
Because at that point, after the possession and stuff, if you follow the other movies, there's not really anybody left in there, you know? Like, so really her saying, you know, I'm here now, Sarah, I'm your long lost daughter back for you, you know, it shouldn't have got the demon's attention.
Yeah. And knowing that too, again, the fact that you could, like, even see...
Took away from it.
This kind of took away from it.
And the makeup was pretty far out there.
Yeah, I think it was a bit too far out even for this franchise.
Yeah, it was almost like half Gollum, half alien clowns from outer space or whatever the hell that's called, you know?
Yeah.
Or killer clowns from outer space,
something like that. And I'm like...
Yeah.
It did took me out of this movie a bit.
It took away the suspense pretty much completely at that point.
Yeah.
And then you got it back a little bit, and then it completely took it away from you again. You know?
Yeah, and I'm like, and by the time like you saw the demon who's possessed a body in that, like driving a cop car. I'm like, seriously?
Yeah. He's such a strong film, and you're going out this way, you know?
Yeah, like honestly, I'm not even sure if I kind of want to see a sequel to this.
Right.
And that,
right.
like, just by the way they ended it.
Right.
You know.
Well, and that was what that scene was 3 minutes long. Like, really, it didn't need to be there.
Well, and here's the thing, actually. Like, I know Doug Walker Nostalgia Grid did an entire video on could an ending ruin a film.
Yeah, and totally, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like in this case it kind of did, you know.
Right. So, and here's this. So, tell me if you think this would have been a good way to end it. When they're driving away, right? They finally get the van started and shit and stuff, and they're driving away. And you remember when our main character starts screaming, just to go to black at that scream. You know, she starts screaming and just go straight to black. I mean, that would have been a good ending. You know?
Yeah, it would have been creepier.
Yeah. You have no idea how everybody could have died. You know, you have no idea where the demon's at.
In fact, you don't even know if the demon possessed the main character or not.
Right. Yeah. Her poor friend could have been, or her friend, the demon could have possessed her friend. We have no idea, you know?
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah. And that, you know, that could lead into more potential sequels.
Right.
Maybe, if they really wanted to. I think that would, something like that would have been a much better way to end it. And if they wanted to do another one, like a continuation of this, it would have gave them more options of where to go. And not have to be ridiculous.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Because honestly, I don't really see how they could do a sequel with the ending they chose.
Yeah.
You know?
And if they did, it would be kind of weird.
Yeah, kind of weird and ridiculous.
And I can't see that young guy being a very good antagonist, man.
Yeah.
Just the actor himself, like he was a good actor, but not for that role.
There was honestly, you could have gone like there would have been so many better ways to end this movie.
Yeah. Well, we sat here now talking 15 minutes about the last 3 minutes of the movie, and we've talked almost as long about the last 3 minutes as we did the entire rest of the movie, you know? So...
Yeah,
You went from having a movie that could literally make a spoon scary to having... Or a stairway scary, you know what I mean? To
kind of ending on almost a joke.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it's like, were they going for laughs, you know, with the demon, like, possessed person driving a cop car?
Right.
Were they going for laughs there?
Yeah.
Kind of almost felt like they were. Because to me, that was just too ridiculous for it to be, like, scary and, you know, kind of, like, I feel like I'm not going to lose sleep over, like, this movie by the end of it.
Right.
You know?
Well, and how would a world-old demon know how to drive a car?
I feel like something like an entity like that,
even if they knew how, wouldn't need to, right?
Yeah, well, knowing that too, even if it possessed a human form, wouldn't need to fucking drive.
Right. Well, and remember in the, you know, a little bit farther back in the movie, it talked about how if this demon gets out, that it's going to possess everybody, it's going to bounce back and forth and kill everybody, right? Yeah. Well, why did it get in a cop car and drive away instead of just bouncing from person to person, possessing everybody, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's true. You know, why didn't it kill the body that was in at that time?
Right,
you know?
and bounce to the next person.
Like they were, like, bounced to the cops and that.
Right. And went back home with the cops and possessed their wife and killed their wife and went to their neighbor and killed their neighbor, you know?
So even the ending kind of contradicts what it was saying in the film.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Oh, and the one other part that bothered me. See, and this is crazy. The last 3 minutes are just killer. So the demon turned on a classic country radio station whenever at the very end. It's like, what the shit? Like, yeah, man.
Like, seriously, I feel like the ending kind of ruined the film for us.
Yeah, it made Deadites look more serious than this demon at the last part. And that's saying something. That's like, Deadites are supposed to be comedic, you know? They were created to be comedic horror. And this was worse than a Deadite for the last 3 minutes, you know?
Yeah. The ending basically kind of ruined the film for us.
Yeah.
So, But not to say there weren't any good things in the film.
No, the movie was amazing up to that point.
But yeah, again, if they went off on a different note, this movie could have been pretty good.
Right. Maybe they'll have like an alternate ending they'll release someday, you know, wouldn't that
I
be
hope
cool?
I hope so.
Wouldn't that be cool if the alternate
But
ending
then at the
ends-
same time too, if the alternate ending's better, I'm like, then why the hell did you not went with that
Right.
ending?
Yeah.
Like seriously, was there a test screening and that, and the people were like, I don't like the ending you went with. Let's go with this more ridiculous,
Out of the world.
out of the world ending.
I bet you Stephen King was there. I bet you.
Yeah, like this movie was kind of close. It was so close.
Yeah. Yeah, it could have almost been the best Paranormal Activities movie.
But that
yeah.
ending massively dropped my score.
Yeah.
That's why I was kind of like, also like, I wasn't sure to give it 3.5 or 4.
Yeah.
You know, mostly because of the ending. You know.
Yeah. See, for me, even with the ending being like total dog crap, I think that there's two parts of this movie that stick out to me, like just insane amounts, you know, and it was the two parts that you had to look away from,
Yeah.
you know? And that's because it was not that scary once you got there. It was just the suspense leading up to it was incredible the way they built it.
I
you know?
just wish the movie had a much better ending.
Yeah.
To,
To follow that up,
yeah.
right, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And again, I felt like the ending ruined the movie for me. So. And at this point, again, if they want to make sequels to this, I honestly not sure if I'd be interested in the sequels.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know. I have a feeling that if they do make another movie, it's just going to be an entirely different story.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, what might be cool is actually seeing a prequel to this. Kind of like in the fashion of The Witch, you know what I mean?
I mean, I'm not really sure about that.
You think that'd be hard to do?
Well, no, it's not that it'd be hard to do. I'm just not sure if I'm really interested in seeing that.
Because you'd still know how it ends?
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, maybe
Yeah.
just do a completely different
Just
story
do a
character.
whole different get up.
Yeah. But
Now, in this, you tell me if I'm wrong, this was a different demon than we have had in the rest of the...
yeah, it was.
Okay, which that's
And
good.
honestly, for me, like, so this film was kind of like another film this reminds me of is
The Witch.
Jigsaw. In
Oh!
regards to, you know, that fact it was trying to revitalize the Saw franchise, and honestly, it didn't really hit the mark.
Yeah.
You know, really,
But it was still good.
to the point where when Chris Rock came in and that, like, they told the writers of Jigsaw to basically stop what you're doing with doing another, like, continuation of that,
Right.
and we're doing this one now.
I'm glad they did.
Yeah.
I mean,
So maybe the next film we might get like the Spiral from the Book of Saw,
Yeah.
the Paranormal Activity movies.
Yeah.
You know, because to me this is like the Jigsaw of the Paranormal Activity movies.
right.
Maybe we might get again Spiral from the Book of Saw
For these movies.
for these movies next time, and that might be the one that might do it for us.
Yeah.
This one was so close though.
Yeah.
It was so close.
Definitely worth watching. I would even say it's worth rewatching, you know?
I mean, it's definitely worth watching if you're kind of curious on how they're going to reboot this franchise.
Yeah.
Now, if you're not a fan of the Paranormal Activity movies or just the found footage subgenre in general, you could maybe just skip out on this one.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
if you're
'cause
not found
yeah.
footage,
yeah, if you're not a found footage guy, and if you're not even like a fan of the Paranormal Activity films, I don't think this will kind of change your mind. You know. So, like, not only change your mind on this franchise, but the subgenre in general. So yeah, is there any other things you want to point out, or is that about it?
I think that's it for me.
Okay, so that's it for this review. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.